next on the agenda, we have roll call. Ms. Harley?
All counselors present with Counselor Carson previously requesting to be excused.
Thank you. Up next, we have the agenda approval. Heather? Ms. Heather?
Mayor, we would like to make an addition to the agenda. As it is printed, we have the regular citizen comment, which would be next after this. We recommend keeping that, but also on the agenda where we have adoption of the downtown design plan, since we are potentially adopting a plan, we thought it would be beneficial that if anyone is here to speak in regards to that plan, that we add another public comment specific for just that. So those comments would be, at that point in time, we would still have a 3-minute time frame, but it would add an additional public comment section to the agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Heather. Counselor Daniel?
Mayor, I move that we approve the agenda with the amendment to add public comment during the adoption of the downtown design plan conversation.
Counselor Brawls?
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Counselor Vigil?
Just also excuse Mr. Carson from the meeting.
Okay. All right. Okay. Start voting, please. Ms. Harley?
The motion carried unanimously.
Okay, up next on the agenda, we have citizen comments. This is a segment of the agenda where we allow any citizens who filled out these comments cards to pass them to Holly and come up to the podium. There is a 3-minute time limit. If you're still speaking at 3 minutes, I will politely ask you to wrap it up and have a seat. Okay? I have only one comment card tonight, and it is Ruthie Brown.
Good evening, Ruthie Brown. I live at 711 State Avenue in Alamosa. I'm not going to stay for answers this evening because my questions are to City Council. They're not to our city manager. They're to you folks that were elected, and especially you folks that might represent the South Side. My first question is, what are the priorities for the police officers? What do you see? Do you see it as weeds? Do you see it as yard sale signs? Do you see it as bike riders on the sidewalks that almost kill us every day, or do you see it as crime? And I would like to know how you feel about the pay scale for our police officers. I have talked to some city employees who absolutely think our police should be paid more. So I'd like to hear from you guys how you think. I'd also like to know about the city landscaping, and when is it okay to just let plants die? Plants die, shrubs die, trees die, that we don't water. When don't we hire someone to water? When do we think it's okay to destroy, dig up, chop down, and throw away plants that the citizens have paid for? Numerous times we've paid for it in order to put in new landscaping. I don't get it. Your downtown plan, well, I'm not going to stay to speak about the it sure looks exciting, doesn't it? Doesn't it look great? Did you notice in the presentation that not once was the non-existent South Side mentioned? We weren't mentioned, we weren't talked about, we weren't included. There's not even going to be a damn sign that says turn south to buy gas, get your laundry done, buy groceries, go to an antique store. So how sad is that? And it's almost an insult to someone being in business. So I went to the other businesses in my neighborhood. Not one of them remember someone from City Council actually coming and talking to them and sitting down and having a cup of coffee and say, how do you feel? How do you think? What are your worries about the South Side? I was going to take their pictures so I can bring them to you in case you ever get down to the South Side. You would know Greg, who's been closed for a month because he's been in the hospital. You'd know Junior, you'd know Virginia, you'd know Julian in a residential house, you'd know Vince Lopez, and you'd know me. Luckily, you don't have to come see me or you're scared or whatever, but it's just sad. And it's an insult. I can't stay.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have any more comment cards, so I'll turn it back over to Heather and Eric for any type of response.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. You know, as I've shared before in regards to our police department, we value all our employees. We recognize the differences that each job presents itself. Some of them present themselves as, more dangerous. We have others that present themselves as challenging to attract because of certain qualifications and those types of things. So we value all of our employees, which is why in 2015, when we were looking at pay, we needed to base it on information and not just what we thought the value was, not what we just thought people were paying, if they're underpaid, overpaid, anything like that, but actual factual information. And that's when you're using taxpayer dollars, when you're making differences in pay between employees, you better have a reason for that when you're making those decisions. So in 2015, we did do a market study, and the comparable organizations we used, so we looked at police officers in these cities. We didn't compare them to any other types of employees. We compared them to the pay of the police officers in these other cities. We looked at Alamosa County, City of Canyon City, City of Craig, City of Delta, City of Espanola, City of Fort Lupton, City of Gunnison, City of La Junta, City of Lamar, City of Monte Vista, City of Montrose, City of Trinidad, and the Colorado State Patrol. How we came up with these comparable cities it's easy to explain. I think is a little tougher for department heads, it was where are we losing employees? Where can we expect to pull employees from, and what cities are comparable in a size, budget, those types of parameters as well. So those are the factors that the department heads used in order to bring to our consultant the cities that we were going to use for pay. So the police chief took a look at where he felt he could pull from, where he's losing, and that is what got factored into the cities we were going to look at. So back in 2015, when this study was done, what came back is actually that police officers should be placed at a grade 8. We were seeing a lot of turnover. We were looking at a lot of different things. And at that point in time, my recommendation to council, which council adopted, was rather than put police officers and then every corporal, sergeant, it bumps everything up, rather than putting them where the market said they needed to be, so 50% would be above, 50% below, the market said they needed to be at grade 8. Instead, we made the decision to put them at grade 9. Now, the total cost to implement this pay study was about $98,000. Of that, over 1/3 of it was because of that one decision. And so it's extremely frustrating to have this history of respect of what their role is and what's going on with the positions to be ignored or forgotten. And so it's important that we keep that in mind. The other is under the current proposed budget, the police officer range would see a 6% increase going into 2020. Additionally, they've seen up to 4% for pay for performance, and in some years they've seen 3.5% from a cost of living adjustment. So what I have been consistent about is that we need to look at what the pay is, not what we think it is, because we have a lot of positions which we sometimes struggle on filling and maintaining. And so if we're going to be using public funds, if we're going to be paying employees differently, we need it to be based on information. And Unfortunately, we have seen turnover of police. A lot of them were not here in 2015, so they're not aware that that was actually a really big deal for this organization. That the market said this is where they went and we placed them a grade higher, and over a third of that cost was because of that decision. Kenny, the Chief Anderson, and I will be meeting with the officers to help remind them of some of the information that is available, what cities, as I already reviewed, have been used. But again, it's unfortunate that this is turning into a public discussion relating to how much we may value or not value, and that's not what it is at all. And it's very disappointing and frustrating. In regards to comments of, when do we let plants die, I know Ruthie has Andy's contact information as well as Jeremy's, so if she's got concerns, I would really recommend that she's contacting them and bringing to their attention what her concerns are so we can address them. And in regards to the south side and the downtown, it's the same answer I've given multiple times. When you're looking at development within a community, you cannot treat all areas the same way. Just like this plan is not focusing on the commercial area on the west side of town, because pedestrian behavior on the west side of town is different than the pedestrian behavior you're going to see in the core downtown, which is different than the pedestrian behavior you're going to see along State Avenue in that commercial area. So it's not that one is more important than the other, it's that each needs their own treatment in order to maximize what the zoning is, what the built environment is, and to be able to make the most of what that public investment is going to be. If you make the same type of treatment applications on the south side or on the west side or on the north side as what you're doing in your downtown, you don't have the same return on investment, because the visitors aren't going to necessarily be in those same areas and they're not going to behave in the same area. So the return on investment is dramatically different. And again, it's not a value statement, and it's unfortunate that we have to keep having this conversation.
Thank you very much, Heather. Okay, I don't see any further council comments, so we'll move forward with the agenda. Okay, the next item on the agenda is consent calendar A. Councilor Vihil.
Mayor, I move that we approve consent calendar A.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, please start voting.
The motion carried unanimously.
Okay, good, thank you. Up next on the agenda is regular business. Business brought forward by city staff. The first item, Public Works, first reading of ordinance number 21-2019. Is that you, Eric?
It is, thank you, Mayor. And I will note that the applicant, as represented by one of its principals, Manish Patel, is here in the audience with Carl Kienold, his attorney. So if council has any questions, they are certainly available. But this is just a first reading. This is not a public hearing yet. This is for consideration of an ordinance that would annex the 8 acres around the Comfort Inn on the west end of town into the city of Alamosa. This petition was originally filed in November of 2018 for only the 3 acres immediately surrounding the hotel, and then was subsequently amended to include an entire 8-acre parcel, which includes both the hotel, and there is 1 or maybe even 2 residences there that get served as well. As part of that process, as we move into the next meeting where there will be a public hearing and second reading for this, there will be consideration of an annexation agreement as well. And the city staff has worked with the developer at the direction of council on that annexation agreement. There's a draft of it. For background, it's not being considered tonight, but the operative portions of that annexation agreement are that the city will contribute extending the water line from where it currently ends, which is right near the movie theater, out to the Road 107 where the hotel is located. The hotel or the developer will be responsible for extending sewer line at such time as they want to do that. Right now, the hotel is actually on city sewer. It's not provided by a direct main service. There's a lift station that the hotel maintains near the hotel that conveys the sewage outfall into the main line, thank you, Heather, into the main line, which exists right near the movie theater. So Heather's put up on the screen the 8 acres, which is tracks 1 and 2 of the Comfort Inn division of land. That's what is being proposed for annexation with this ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Okay, Counselor Griego.
Well, if there's no questions, I'll make the motion that we approve on first reading ordinance number 21 and set it for a public hearing on September 18th at 7 o'clock or soon thereafter.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, please start voting. Ms. Holly?
The motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is Parks and Rec. First reading of ordinance number 20-2019.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Suzanne Beauchesne, our refuge manager, is also in the audience if you have any questions about our ordinance 20-2019. Excuse me. So this ordinance is an intergovernmental agreement regarding maintenance of the Malm Trail system. You might remember this summer we applied for a federal lands access grant, which would add restrooms, develop facilities, picnic shelters, ADA trail, ADA fishing bulb to our Malm Trail system. One of the requirements of that federal lands funding is that the adjacent eligible entity, the city, maintain those new facilities. So they're smart, right? They're going to fund it, but we'll maintain it. Anyway, the city is prepared to maintain the Malm Trail. The majority of the trail is on city property. If you look at the map up here, a rough estimate is about 20 to 25% of the trail, maybe a half mile, is on the refuge. With the access point being on city property, the majority of the trail being on city property, and the fact that it's a requirement of this grant, that's the purpose of this IGA tonight. Any questions?
Council? Counselor? Okay, Counselor Veal.
Mayor, if there's no questions, I move that we approve on first reading ordinance number 20 and set it for is there going to be a hearing on this? Okay, and set it for a public hearing on September 18th at 7 o'clock or soon thereafter.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, please start voting.
The motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank Suzanne and the Refuge. They've been a great partner and really excited to work with them to open up this, exciting project to the city and the residents. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne. We see you back there and appreciate your help with working with the team as well. You're welcome. All righty. Next item is item 2B.
Well, I'm up here a lot tonight. We had a mower fail with the Parks and Cemetery Department. It was a 1999 model, so we got 20 years out of it. It's one of the two we use that collects the clippings and leaves, so it's pretty important to the fleet. And it was scheduled to be replaced in 2 years in the CIP. It didn't quite make it. We couldn't get parts, yada, yada. We had a donation come into the cemetery. We've had some operational savings. We think we can afford this mower pretty easily. And with fall coming up and the leaves dropping, we're just looking to get ahead of the game and get another one into the fleet. So, any questions on this
If
one?
council authorizes this, we'll move forward with the purchase, and then whatever is not covered by savings in the grant, we'll just include in the last budget amendment of the year.
Counselor Veal.
Mayor, I move that we authorize the purchase of a new Parks and Rec cemetery mower.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Counselor Daniel?
I just want to say, Andy, thanks so much for getting 20 years out of the one we had. So I'm sorry that it broke, but I'm excited that we're getting a new one.
Thank you.
Ms. Holly?
The motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Up next on the agenda is item 3A, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 19-2019.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. The ordinance before you is for an intergovernmental agreement with the Colorado Department of Public Safety, also the Colorado State Patrol, to provide emergency alerting system, the reverse 911 and IPAWS for both the police and the fire department.
Okay. All righty. So at this time, thank you, Chief. At this time, I will open it up for public hearing. If we have anyone in the audience who would like to make any comments in regards to this ordinance, please feel free to come up to the podium. Okay. Seeing that no one has come up, I will now close the public hearing and bring it back to council. Councilor Vihil.
Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance number 19-2019.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not. Start voting, please.
The motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, up next, under item 4A, the adoption of the downtown design plan. Ms. Heather.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going to do the same presentation. No, I'm just joking. We won't do that.
That's a good joke, Heather. Really good. Really funny.
We're going to do an abbreviated, very abbreviated, but just since this is the formal meeting, it is what goes down in the record, and we may have a few that were not here. We do have, I think, 4 or 5 slides. This is the overview of how we started this 18-month process. There's a lot of public outreach that occurred. There's a lot of drafts that would then be processed, a lot of documents provided, feedback provided, and where we are today is at the very end with the City Council presentation and hopefully the plan adoption. Just a few pictures of some of the public input. It's been really amazing to see the engagement from the public and the passion that they have for the downtown, and to see the vision and the ideas. It's really been revigorating to see this going on in our community. This is one of the slides from the presentation. This was from the beginning, where it was, what do people want from the downtown? What do they envision? But they want it to be vibrant. They want it to be welcoming. I think you guys heard this a lot during the work session, is that focus on pedestrian-friendly environment. And themes that run throughout the whole plan is a downtown that's so close to the river. We need to kind of make that gap. We need to close it. We need to celebrate the railroad, the farms, the agriculture of this area, and then just celebrating our arts, history, and cultural heritage. The vision elements is to activate and energize the downtown core. It's to create a vibrant pedestrian environment. And most importantly, and this is why I'm excited about the public input, is to have a Main Street that's uniquely Alamosa. And that would not be possible without the process that we used and the public involvement that we received. And then the only picture we're going to show at the end is the one that hasn't been seen as much, which is one of the catalytic projects was the riverfront activation. This is a vision capturing sort of what the public would like to see, a multi-use of that trail, and also to connect it to the north part of the trail that then goes on to the ranch. So here's a visual for some of that. And with that, I'm not going to go into a lot of the details.
Okay. Thank you very much, Heather, for giving us an abbreviated presentation. I'll turn it over to council, and I'll start off with Councilor Griego, then Councilor Brawls, and then we'll keep it going.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I'd like to thank the group that council put together to get this thing going. Boy, a lot of meetings, a lot of hours, a lot of input. It is great that people really invested all their time to put some down for the downtown. You know, it's something that in the future, it's going to pay off, and all these meetings, like I said, and all this input is very, very positive for this thing. So I'd like to thank those people.
Thank you, Councilor Grego. Councilor Brawls, then Councilor Hensley.
No, I appreciate all the work that's gone into it from the city to our consultants and to our citizens. I think it's a very good big picture. Obviously, we can nickel and dime it to death, but we have to start at the big picture and start moving forward. And obviously, we're going to have challenges and obstacles, but we'll find a way to work through those. And to emphasize that this is a downtown plan. It's not a north plan, east plan, west plan, or south plan. It's a downtown. I know I've been involved in downtown for a lot of years, and we've always been looking for that downtown plan. So I think it's an excellent plan to begin with. And I want to thank those that put it together.
Thank you, Councilor Brawls. Councilor Hensley, and then Councilor Daniel.
So I'm going to echo, obviously, my fellow council members in thanking everybody for their hard work. This document is unbelievable. From start to end, I know it's over 100 pages long, but it has so much information, and the graphics, the explanations, everything is incredible. What's exciting is I really see in our near future, and then also continuing forward, is a real new energy in our downtown. This is going to really put a boost, I think, to what's going on downtown. We've put a lot of energy and effort into this. Having Kathy Woods with us now as well, I think the combination of everything is going to be fantastic, and I'm really feeling, I guess, honored and proud to be part of the city as we're going through this. So thanks again to everybody and their hard work.
Thank you. Councilor Daniel, and then Councilor Vihil.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
We've all said thank you. This was a huge project, very, very huge. The number of hours that the committee spent, the number of hours that the team spent, people coming in and giving input has been fantastic. I think the biggest thing that I am excited about are those off-the-shelf things that we can give to developers. We can give to people the handouts and the ways we can just give someone a product to say, here, try this, and here are some ideas that might make your project more effective in our downtown. I have appreciated using Alamosa-centric things. I didn't feel like people came in from Denver telling us what to do and how we should be. I have appreciated that more than you know, because that was a huge concern of mine when we started this project. And I really believe that what we have is a long-term plan for Alamosa's downtown, and that we can take small steps and get going, or we can take giant leaps and really make some changes. But I think it's going to be, doing this a piece at a time and looking at it and budgeting appropriately. And this gives us a really clear pathway to that. And so I just wanted to say I was proud to be a part of the project committee, and I am really proud of the end result that I know was still in a little bit of development. I didn't hear any no, don't do this today, so I think we're well on our way. But I'm really proud of the work that is done, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Daniel. Councilor Vihil.
Thank you, Mayor. Just echo what everybody said. Thank you to the staff, to the gentleman in the crowd tonight, our consultants, and I think I'm most proud of how well you all got our community input and what they really wanted. I was at the meeting at the Nestle Toll House, and I was just floored with how many, the dots here and this and that picture, and what do you think about this? And it was very intricate and very detailed, but that's what was needed. And to get a great product, like Ms. Hensley said, what we have here. It was mentioned in the public work session just about an hour ago about the public and private partnership that needs to occur. And I was at a restaurant downtown over the weekend, and the owner told me he just really appreciates how much we, as a council and our staff, are really putting downtown to the forefront. It's going to take small baby steps, but we have a plan in place and we can get it done. With that, I would like to urge council, if in the future, if we can start to put some monies away just for downtown stuff. In our upcoming budgets and that type of thing. So thank you all.
Thank you. Councilor Vihil, Councilor Daniel.
Mayor, thank you. I am so sorry. I forgot, this was very important to me, that we dedicated this plan to Dan Vaughn. And as all of us know, he passed away during this whole process. And I just wanted to say I really appreciated the way the dedication was written, and I think it captured his spirit and what he would like. And I really appreciated the time and energy and effort that people made sure that he was remembered through this. So thank you for that.
Heather? Thank you. Councilor Daniel?
And I know this is different, that we added some public comment to this section as well. So once council's done with comments, I didn't want us to forget about the public comment as well.
Oh, thank you very much, Heather. I'll just wrap up the council comments. I would like to say muchos gracias to everyone for your participation in making this happen. Charlie's trying to correct me on that, but I just started. All right. But Jay and Andy, you all did a wonderful job, and everyone who is a part of this planning, thank you so very much for your hard work and dedication. More importantly, I wanted to thank you for soliciting the input from the public, because by soliciting the input from the public, this plan right here would be a plan that we're able to put in place that the people want in the community. And now we have something solid that we can help put into place to help make the dreams become a reality. So appreciate everything you all have done.
I
Okay.
think the only group we didn't thank, but it is worth mentioning, is DOLA. This
Okay.
project would not have been possible without the grant support of DOLA.
Okay, thank you so much, Heather, for saying that. Okay, right now we'll open the mic again for any comments anyone in the audience would like to make in regards to the downtown design plan. Feel free to come up to the podium. We'll ask that you keep your comments within 3 minutes.
Thank you for adding this in to your schedule. I'm Don Thompson. I live at 924 8th Street in Alamosa, and I will admit that I have not read the plan. I didn't know until I got home this afternoon that it was on the website. It's not a PDF file, so you can't search. Maybe there's a way to do that, but anyhow, I'm enthused, as is everybody else, and I, as you know, as a privileged white male, I like to take my advantage of speaking my mind, even if I don't know what I'm talking about. 3 things that I would like to mention. I'm overly enthused about the Broadway Bridge and getting a passway underneath there so that people don't have to cross the highway at grade level. As a bicyclist, the safety feature that provides is outstanding. Something that is not in the plan, was at one time but is not anymore, is a protected bike lane on Main Street. And had I had more time this afternoon, I would have done it, but I was out bicycling today, knocking off my bucket list of bicycling all the paved mountain passes in Colorado. I did Moelis and Coal Bank, and so I've finished that. I have to find another one. Anyhow, the protected bike lane, I have an article out of Popular Science and a study that shows not only does the protected bike lane cut down accidents with bicyclists, it actually reduces accidents for motorists. I hope that will be added back into the plan, though I wonder, a month ago tomorrow, I had asked to get the painted bike lanes on Ross Street completed south of 6th at the railroad tracks, and they haven't been painted yet. So a lot of the things where they say all it's going to take is painting, I guess I'm not talking to the right people. The other thing, I'm concerned about the wayfinding signs. Much like the flags put up downtown, they can't be seen by motorists driving through. I think something needs to be done on those wayfinding signs so they can actually be read. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have anyone else? Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to thank City Council for allowing Alamosa County to be part of this process. So when Dan Vaughn asked me to serve on the executive committee, just being able to sit in all those meetings, the City of Alamosa is the heart of Alamosa County, and I think we sometimes think of ourselves as separate entities, but we're not. And so the success of the City of Alamosa and the success of downtown is directly tied to not only Alamosa County, but the whole San Luis Valley. So having Alamosa County be part of the process was a real treat and a real honor, and I just wanted to thank staff, and I wanted to thank Dan, and I wanted to thank City Council. So thank you.
I
Thank
just
you.
want to share, Rachel, as well, during some of our vacancies, Rachel's graciously, for some of the meetings she attends, but we didn't have enough staff to attend, would just keep us in the loop on what some of those discussions were. So it's been a very nice relationship.
Great job, Rachel. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Feel free to come up to the podium.
So, Kel Mortensen, Alamosa resident, and Director of Tourism. I'm glad to hear that there's excitement with the City Council, and thanks for this opportunity to look at this. I just really want to make sure you realize the potential that this thing has. In 2018, we just got the numbers, and traveler spending was $46.8 million, but visitation was down. A plan like this, as long as it doesn't just sit on a shelf and that we implement it, can really impact the traveler's experience to this area. So thank you for your excitement about this, and we hope that this continues, because it would be huge, not just for the community, but for the travelers that we serve as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Kel. Okay. Still have mics open. If we have any other comments, feel free to come up to the mic. Okay, there we go. There we go.
I'm Delzia Worley, 6600 State Highway 17. I really want to thank council for taking this step and having such a great group come together. The thing I'm really excited about, there's so many, I just could go on, but one of the most exciting things to me is to see that we can do this progressively, step by step. You know, sometimes when we see these plans, we think, how can we possibly afford this? And so I think that's what's exciting about this plan, is we can build on it and capture some of the potential that Kel's talking about. I also think with Kathy and where she's going and being that liaison, I think we can just continue to see some of these business community come back into downtown, and so those are two really exciting things. So I appreciate that I was a part of it, and thank you to council.
Thank you, Delzy.
Charlie was kind of looking at me like, are you going to talk? Kathy Rogers, City of Alamosa Woods, rather. Thank you guys too, and thank you to staff for letting me be a part of this. This is a great time to be in Alamosa. And I am a firm believer that success breeds success, pride breeds pride. You're seeing it already in Alamosa. The signage that has gone up has spurred other signage, and I think that will continue. And there are really fun things brewing, and this plan is just going to make it amazing. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of that, and I'll work hard to help with that. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay. Still have a few, any other comments? Going once? Going twice? Okay, we will close the comment section. But thank you all for your kind and generous comments. We really appreciate that. Okay, council. Councilor Griego.
Okay, before I make a motion, Andy and Jay, MIG, you know, we had a large group of people to select from. And I'm glad that we made this selection. You've done a great job for our community, and the way you implemented this plan and put it together, it really came in really great. With that, I'll make a motion that the city adopt the downtown plan design.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I think I know how this vote's going to come out. Start voting. There you go. Ms. Holly?
The motion carried unanimously.
All right, good job, everybody. All right, next on the agenda, we have committee reports. Do we have any committee reports today? Councilor Daniel?
Thank you, Mayor. I attended two. I attended the first Homeless Coalition meeting last week, along with Councilor Carson. We had a great representation both in the audience, public who was there, as well as the members of the committee. We have a facilitator helping us kind of get our direction going and having some of the conversations. I feel like we're moving in a really good direction. We did decide to bring to council, right, to add another housing position to that, so we'll all be seeing that come to us. And I'm really excited. I think the energy behind the group is very good, as well as really some strong problem solvers and solution-focused people. So I think it's going to be a really good, full coalition of people doing some really neat things. The other thing, I did attend the Housing Authority meeting. Our new appointee, Mr. Lucero, attended that meeting. He's going to be very active. I think we picked a very good person for that. So I think that's going to really help the group go forward. They are in the process of evaluating the director, and then they were excited about adding the housing position to the Homeless Coalition as well, and they're willing to be a part of it, whether or not they're on the committee or not. And so they've done some great things with the little libraries, the little free libraries, and they're going to be stationed at different places throughout the Housing Authority, and lots of just really good projects for that community. So very exciting stuff happening at the Housing Authority.
Thank you, Councilor Daniel. Okay, any other committee reports? Nope. Okay, up next, we have staff announcements.
Okay, thank you. Andy, if you want to come on up. And as Andy's making his way up, I do want to share this is a huge weekend for the downtown with the art programming. We've got a lot of different programs coming together, and Kelly and the art committee have worked so hard that I'm hoping you guys can catch some of it. It does begin Friday night at, it begins Friday with the installation of the new artwork. So Streets Crews will be out there doing the new installation. The artist will be here. We also have the art walk, so we have a whole different set of artists who will be in town and be showing their artwork inside the downtown businesses. And then Friday night, we have the artist reception at 5:30. The location's different. We're gonna have it at the Grove Theater. And then Saturday is just going to be chaotic. It's going to be crazy for those introverts. I'm just warning you. We're going to have the art walk again, so the artists will be showing all their work. We'll obviously still have the outdoor artwork, but we're having the Chock-a-Walk stuff in the morning. The Salida Circus is going to be here. There's going to be outdoor bands. There's going to be outdoor demonstrations. So there's going to be a lot of different activity going on to celebrate art. The Sip and Paint is going to have it their first ever outdoor class to join the celebration and to celebrate art here in Alamosa. So with that, I'll turn it over to Andy.
Council, Mayor, just a little bit of an unusual situation happening with our water for the city and the independent ditch. Unprecedented, really, and Eric can maybe jump in. He's our water expert, but I'm going to give you the overview. And a few days ago, the city was notified we're out of priority already on the independent ditch, so that we have no more water coming in to the independent ditch. This in turn affects how we fill Blanca Vista ponds, water the ranch for habitat, and then water from the Blanca Vista ponds is used to water the back 9 of the golf course. So you can imagine this is a little bit of a scary situation for us, but the minute we were notified, city staff has sat down with our attorney and kind of formulated some contingency plans. Now, the reason for this situation is when we have a high water year, it's not a linear relationship how much water we have to pass down. It's actually a higher percentage. Don't ask me to explain this, why it's like that, but we actually have to send a higher percentage of water down the river, so that maybe in a year with less water, we actually have more to use. But anyway, as a result, we're looking at what we have to do to make sure the golf course has water. We've talked to them. They're going to be in conservation mode. Hopefully we get some rain that could bring us back online with the independent. But that's kind of a little synopsis of the situation. And usually, even in a lower water year, we were able to pull water out of the independent ditch through irrigation season, which is the end of October. So in case you get questions from city residents, we did not shut off the water or anything. This comes from the Colorado Division of Water Resources, and we are out of priority with our water right on the independent ditch. Eric, is that all right?
That was an excellent summation, Andy. I don't know if anybody has any other questions, but there's a 40% compact curtailment on the Rio Grande River right now, and has been since July. And we have now, under that 40% curtailment, reached the bubble where the independent ditch is now out of priority. And part of that is due to reduced return flows. We've had a very dry monsoon season this year, and so we're not getting the kind of return flows to the lower reaches of the river that the independent usually can rely on for diversion. So it's a strange occurrence. We don't usually have this situation, but that, and Andy's described how we're looking at dealing with it.
Okay, Councilor Brawls?
Yeah, what is the usage? I mean, how do they measure that? By acre feet, or do they do it by cubic feet? Or?
That's
The usage at the golf course?
No,
that's
for the
acre
water.
feet, but
Yeah, so.
The fees, the water goes down the ditch.
Oh, that's measured in cubic feet per second. So there have to be a certain number of cubic feet per second in the river as a whole before the independent ditch can divert. The independent is priority number 166 on the river. So and I don't have the tables in front of me, but there have to be, I don't know, 600 cubic feet per second or something in the river before we can divert. It's not 600, it's lower than that. And we're at the point where there's just not that much water in the river.
Thank you, Eric. Okay.
And I should say not that much water in the river available, because the 40% curtailment means that the 40% of the flow as it passes the Del Norte measuring gauge in the Rio Grande is dedicated to be shipped to the New Mexico state line to satisfy the compact with New Mexico and Texas. So that's water that we don't touch.
Okay. Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Andy.
So hope for rain except for this weekend,
Okay.
Which is the artscape, is the message from that. The other thing we wanted to announce tonight, I meant to announce this.
1 second, Heather. Councilor
Heather,
Gray,
before you go on,
Uh-huh.
I just want to give a thank you to you and your staff. When we first put this artscape deal together, we didn't think this was going to happen for 10 years or so. And the way you guys have put this together and it made it possible, I bet you those art people are freaking out there, because they, for the long time, like I've always said, it's been a kept secret here, and we've got all these people that are in the arts, and for this thing to happen though, as fast as it's gone, it is incredible, and the job that you guys have done is incredible, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And
Thank you,
it
Councilor
truly
Grego.
has been, it would not have been possible without the art committee and then Jolene's leadership and now Kelly's leadership. So, and we've got Jess and Andy and the street crew. I mean, it's so many people making it possible. I meant to make this announcement at the last meeting, but I forgot. I did want to publicly announce, we did send information to different interested individuals but the Rio Bravo has not met the deadlines that we had set. So I think there's still a group of people interested in doing something in that area, and we'll continue to work with them as we would any other developer. But in regards to the authorization that council had provided to me to swap land and those types of things, that has expired. So we will still be very developer friendly and work and answer questions. And if something else kind of comes to the top, we'll be sure to bring that back before City Council. And we want to thank the individuals that were involved in that project to have an interest in wanting to invest in this community and make a difference. And obviously, as we know, that the impact from an RV resort that they proposed would have had an enormous impact on this community. And so hopefully we'll still see some continued effort in those different areas. So I wanted to make sure to go ahead and announce that. And then, Eric, did you want to say something on the water closing?
So good news on the waterfront. We actually closed on acquiring leasehold interest in water out of the Alamosa River to be the final piece of our puzzle in getting the augmentation plan put together, and we should be able to get that rolling here very soon now. That just happened this morning.
Thank you. Good job.
And then, Greg, if you want to come up, we'll do a quick update on First Street and Stewart and another announcement.
Thank you. So I guess I'm sure you all have seen the First Street is open. We actually, I think are actually going to come in under budget on First Street, and that actually includes adding the utilities. We decided to go ahead and replace the utilities under Stewart because we actually found some issues while we were doing some exploratory work. And so we think with those two projects combined, we're still going to come in under budget. The striping will be done on that road within a few weeks. Typically after you pave a road, it's nice to let the oils and things kind of wear off before you put any striping down so that they'll last a little bit better. Stewart is still going to be, well, it'll be closed probably for the next week to 2 weeks, I'm guessing. We're finishing up putting in the sewer main and a water main. Those are old antiquated pipes that are in there. They no longer function correctly. And it was a great opportunity. We had the crew there to mobilize and get a nice value for our dollar, so we went ahead and did that. So we should see that open. I'm hoping to have that open, Harry, a couple weeks maybe. It might be just patchwork at first as we wait for the paver to come back in and do the final overlay. But once that's done, that road is ready to go. It'll have utilities underneath it. It'll have a new asphalt layer on top of it, and it'll be good to go for a while. So.
Any questions related to that project before I start talking about the next?
What was the amount of the under budget? $5, $10,000?
About 37 cents. We're not quite sure yet because the invoices are still coming in. But we did see some savings on some of the overdig materials. It's really hard, I think, in Alamosa to figure out what the soil types are. So in one area you could have really good soil types, and in other areas it's really bad, and it requires a more of an overdig and to bring in more material. And so we have to budget for worst case scenario, and I think on this one we got better material than what we thought. So we didn't have to import as much material, so I think that's where we saw our savings. As far as how much, we'll have to wait until everything comes in to see where we're at, but I think we're going to be either right on budget or under a little bit, which is great.
Councilor Vio.
Can you talk about the little parking lot that's across the street from the bowling alley? Is that city public parking or is that bowling alley parking?
It's city parking, so anyone can park there, but as part of our negotiations for the right-of-way with the owner of the bowling alley is we told them that we would count those spots toward whatever requirements they have for parking, since we were obviously taking some of their parking. So whatever use goes in there, if they need 20 spots, those would be counted towards those 20 spots, but it is city parking.
Right. And there's a, because of the realignment and all that, there's been kind of an opportunity for some more landscape areas, I think. There's a couple new bubbles that have been created through there, and I think, Heather, you've been working on kind of what the plan is for
This
that.
is one area, there's a silver lining that we didn't get that project done. So we are adjusting that design to better fit what the final layout is with First Street being done. Any other questions before I move on to the next item?
No, just one real quick comment. I was so excited to see that street open because that's where I go home. I passed by it. I said, whoa, it's open. So I drove up and down it just to see how everything worked. It was
See
so
how the new
cool.
alignment and everything
Yeah,
is.
it's
and-
aligned. Yeah, everything was great.
Yeah,
So,
people are still confused because there's no striping. I've been watching. They'll turn and they don't know quite where to go. But we'll figure it out, and then we'll get the striping out there, and it'll be beautiful.
it's so much better than it was before.
Yeah,
So
it's-
great job.
That's what I've heard, yeah.
So I'm saving this next announcement because I tend to find out once I say it, the conversation isn't as fun. So it's a bit out of left field. So Greg has joined us, and he's been a great addition to our team. It was with a lot of excitement that we had him come and jump in and carry the projects forward and all of that. Unfortunately, Greg's been offered a job of the lifetime opportunity, and so he will be leaving the city, and it's not on bad terms. It's something where I think there is a mutual appreciation and a good fit, and but it's something that sometimes people need to make a decision that's best for what their future is and for them and their family. And so Greg will, at the end of the week, will no longer be with us. So we wanted to go ahead and share that and let you guys say goodbye, and I don't know if you have any questions or anything like that.
And so, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the whole city. This has absolutely nothing to do with this city. I think it's a great place. I think all the people that work here, the leadership, everybody, fantastic. I have just been given an opportunity that my family and we can't pass up. It's a game changer. So, but I just wanted to put it out there that, again, this is not a based off of any issues at all. I think it's a great place. I think this place has got a great future. I think the leadership here is fantastic. The vibe is great. I used to work here 15 years ago in a different capacity, and it wasn't like this. And this is so. I think we've got great people, and I think just trying to keep things moving in the right direction, and way you go.
I did talk to Harry, because that might be your next question. I did talk to Harry. He is willing to serve as interim again, and that's all we know as of this point right now. So we haven't made any other plans for anything else. It was just a matter of figuring out how long Greg would be here, if Harry was willing to serve. Also, we did an interview on Friday for the planner position, and so we were doing some background checks there and potentially making an offer. So there's just a few other pieces we're working on as well.
Yeah, and I've been working with Harry over the last couple of days. He was always involved, for the last 3 months anyway, because I had to ask all these questions of him. So he's been involved pretty much through the whole time I've been here, and we had to sit down today and went over all the kind of the things that are hanging out there, and he's got it. He's got it.
Okay, Councilor Hensley, then Councilor Daniel.
Well, so first, Greg, I want to thank you. You, in your short time here, you've made a major impact, and just a lot. You bring with you a lot. You brought with you a lot of experience, and you were a great fit for our city. And so I do appreciate everything you've done, even in that short time. You've had an impact. And I will joke a little bit, because just before the meeting, I said to Harry, I said, "Oh, are you enjoying the life of leisure now?" And he looked at me and gave me a funny look. Well, now I see why he said that.
Yeah, not anymore.
So it was kind of ironic I said that to Harry today. So I realize now there's no more leisure for you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. And again, I was excited whenever this opportunity came up, and I have been. It's been great. Just something else came up that was just can't pass it up.
Councilor Daniel.
Thank you, Mayor. I really, Liz and I sometimes share a brain, I think, but thank you for that. And I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
I really appreciate when we can hear people making decisions that are better for their families and better for them. And even though it's really sad for us to have you go, and I'm sure Harry's going to be stressed out a little bit more, but I think it's important that as leaders that we take care of ourselves and our families so we can be better leaders in the future. And I just wanted to say thank you for modeling that for
Thank you.
everyone. I think that's really important.
Thank you. I guess that kind of puts a positive spin on it, yeah. But thank you very much. Thank you.
And Greg, I too like to thank you for the time that you've shared here, and just wish you and your family much success as you move forward.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And if there's any question, I was the better roller skater. I just want that noted for the record.
Yeah, she went backwards and I couldn't go backwards, so.
But at least you tried. I saw you do
I
that.
tried,
so
and
that's
then
right.
I thought better of it. So you win. You're right.
She skated circles around me on purpose, but it's okay. All right.
And
Thank
that's
you.
all we had from a staff update
Okay.
perspective.
Thank you.
Up next, we have council comments. Do we have any council comments tonight? Nope. Okay. So up next, Councilor Daniel.
Mayor, I move that we move into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 24-64024E-L to determine positions, develop strategy, and instruct negotiators relating to development agreements for a hotel on the old Pink Elephant property.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussions? If not, start voting. Ms. Holly?
The motion carried unanimously.
Okay, we will go into executive session. When we come out, no further business will be discussed, and at that point in time, the meeting will be adjourned